This video is sponsored by World of Warplanes, breathtaking air battles with planes from the golden era. Support this show and play World of Warplanes for free at spons.org/TopTenz. Not long after the Wright brothers' historic first flight in Kitty Hawk, North Carolina, airplanes have been weaponized to achieve a vast array of objectives. Speed, range, firepower, and agility are just some of the contributory factors to determine which aircraft are most praiseworthy. But what is the greatest warbird of all time? Well, it's a tough question. It's like asking a sports fan to name the best athlete who ever lived. I'll give you a hint, that would be Jim Thorpe. So before you start dropping F-bombs and firing bullet-ridden comments, please understand that this list is just a general consensus amongst military historians, fighter jocks, and aviation experts who, they know a thing or two about thrust, drag, lift, and weight, aka the four forces of flight. Furthermore, the entries presented are not ranked in any specific order other than their initial arrival in the air. Number 10. The Albatross D3. Legendary pilot Manfred von Richthofen, aka the Red Baron, is probably best known for his brightly colored three-winged Fokker DR-1. However, the famous ace of aces achieved most of his 80 kills during World War I with an Albatross D3. The German plane benefited from a lightweight frame made of plywood, a 170 horsepower Mercedes D3 inline water-cooled engine, and it was armed with twin 7.92mm LMG 815 machine guns. The Berlin-based Albatros Flugzeugwerk first introduced the fighter in 1916. Its acrobatic maneuverability saw Richthofen's fighter wing dominate the skies in what came to be known as the Flying Circus. The D3 enjoyed its greatest success in 1917 during Bloody April, a month in which the Germans shot down 245 British aircraft over the skies of northern France. Although its agility and climb rate drew rave reviews, one major design flaw presented grave problems. Early variants featured a Thieves und Braun airfoil-shaped radiator in the center of the upper wing, which, if punctured by enemy gunfire, tended to scald the pilot's face. Subsequently, the part was modified and moved to the right of its original placement. Number 9. Royal Aircraft Factory SE-5A. As attrition for the Allies continued to mount towards the end of World War I, British engineers worked feverishly to produce a fighter that was both easier to fly and at least equal to those pesky German planes. That soon changed with the rollout of the Royal Aircraft Factory SE-5A in 1917. Featuring a powerful 200 horsepower Hispano-Suiza or Woolsey Viper water-cooled engine, the Scout Experimental 5 provided outstanding high-altitude performance, easier handling than the Sopwith Camel, and ranked as one of the swiftest flyers of the war with a top speed of 138 miles per hour. Different versions of the SE-5A, however, were not without its share of engine-related grief. But once the kinks were worked out, the fighter became a favorite of both novice pilots as well as top aces, including Billy Bishop, Alan Ball, James McCudden, and Edward Manock. Along with the added boost of American doughboys, the SE-5A helped turn the tide on the Western Front, equipping 21 British and 2 US squadrons. Over 5,000 were produced at the plant in Farnsworth, England, with armaments that included a synchronized 303-inch Vickers machine gun, a wing-mounted Lewis gun, and 4, 2 under each wing, 18-kilogram copper bombs. Number 8. Spitfire. The battle-scarred Spitfire that hangs prominently inside the Imperial War Museum in London is a fitting tribute to its rightful place in history. The Royal Air Force RAF fighter not only helped thwart Hitler's plans to invade the UK, but served as an iconic symbol of resistance throughout the war. Prime Minister Winston Churchill said it best when expressing his gratitude regarding the Battle of Britain. Never in the field of human conflict was so much owed by so many to so few. Designed by R.J. Mitchell at Supermarine Aviation Works, the Spitfire first took flight in 1936 near its production facility in Southampton, England. Mitchell, a well-respected aeronautical engineer, aimed to build a short-range, high-performance bomber interceptor capable of exploiting the powerful Rolls-Royce V12 Merlin engine. He also managed to create a gorgeous-looking plane characterized by its sleek fuselage, elliptical wings, and long, regal nose. Early variants of the fighter featured 8 303 Browning guns in the wings that were later replaced or augmented with 20mm Hispano Mark II cannons. The Spitfire's impressive climb rate and deft maneuverability would become its defining hallmark, engaging in epic duels with its main German rival, the Messerschmitt Bf-109. To be fair, the RAF Hawker Hurricane inflicted 60% of enemy aircraft damage during the Battle of Britain, but also had nearly twice the number of planes. After the homeland threat subsided, Spitfires also served as fighter bombers and carrier-based fighters, earning similar distinction in all combat theaters. Number 7. The A6M Zero. Japan's founding mythology holds that its first ruler, Emperor Jimmu, ascended to the throne in 660 BC. Flash forward to 1940 when special celebrations were held to mark the 2600th anniversary, while at the same time Mitsubishi began mass production of the Imperial Navy's new aircraft carrier-based fighter, A6M. The official name was the Reishiki Kanjo Sentoki, or Model Zero carrier-based fighter. The zero in this case referred to the last digit of 2600, and thus was simply shortened to Zero. Arguably the best fighter plane of World War II, the Zero built its much-feared dogfighting reputation based on superb agility, speed, and range, and would later apply the same qualities to making outstanding cars for fighting rush-hour traffic. The lightweight aluminium frame allowed for a top speed of 331 miles per hour and a range of 1,930 miles. Its armament consisted of two 7.7mm guns, two 20mm cannons in its wings, and it could carry two 132-pound bombs. The Zero easily outclassed most of its rivals in early combat operations. The surprise attack on Pearl Harbor saw the Japanese Imperial Navy launch 353 aircraft from 6 carriers, including scores of Zeros that struck a crippling blow to the US Pacific Fleet. As the war progressed, however, the Allies built more formidable weaponry to mitigate the Japanese advantage. The Zeros would later be used in more kamikaze suicide attacks than any other airplane. A total of nearly 11,000 Zeros were manufactured overall, making it the most produced Japanese fighter of the war. Number 6. P51D Mustang. Although greatness is often a matter of conjecture, few will argue that the P51D Mustang is the fighter plane most responsible for pushing the Allies to victory in the ETO, the European Theatre of Operations. Originally developed for the RAF by North American Aviation, a division of General Motors, the P-51, P for Pursuit design underwent numerous modifications before taking over air superiority from the Luftwaffe. The most significant change involved the replacement of the original Allison V1710 engine with the supercharged Rolls-Royce Merlin, built under license by Packard Motor Car Company, that boasted a max speed of 440 miles per hour and a range of 1,600 miles. The rugged, beefy fighter bomber's large fuel tanks allowed for round-trip sorties from England to Berlin, and still they could arrive back in time for dinner. Equipped with 6 Browning 50 machine guns, the ferocious dogfighter could simply fly faster and further than most other combat aircraft of this era. Furthermore, the Mustang claimed the most kills during World War II, with 281 pilots earning the ace distinction of 5 kills. Famed test pilot and aviation record setter Chuck Yeager achieved the rare feat of becoming an ace in a day by shooting down 5 ME-109s in his P-51D, Glamorous Glenn III, which he named for his wife. The Mustang also saw extensive action during the Korean War, even after fighter jets became available. Today, the beloved P-51D can be seen at several national museums, such as the Military Aviation Museum in Bungo, Virginia, and it remains a fan favorite at airshows worldwide. Now, just before we get into the top 5 today, let me tell you a bit about World of Warplanes. Now, if you'd like to take a go at flying the planes in today's video, virtually, of course, then you should absolutely download the free-to-play game World of Warplanes. World of Warplanes lets you take to the skies with 5 different aircraft types, each unique in its configuration, role, and behavior. Most importantly, this is a game that you can jump into very easily. It's very easy to get started with, but it's also quite complex as you get a bit more deep into it, so mastery comes a little bit more difficultly. Better yet, this is a game that is free to play, but this isn't also some sort of crummy mobile game. This is a fully fledged PC game. It's got regular updates all the time and also amazing graphics and great sound. So not those free mobile games you can download, not at all. So if you click the link below, or if you go to spons.org/TopTenz, you're going to be able to get the game for free, but you'll also get 7 days of premium time, 500 gold, you'll get the Curtiss XP36F Hawk, and you'll also get a personal battle mission. This is basically where you can unlock features for completing missions. Also, if you go through that link, which I'm also including below, it also helps support this show, which is very cool of you. So just go to spons.org/TopTenz and get started, and let's get into the top 5. Number 5. B29 Superfortress. In the closing months of World War II, President Harry Truman faced a difficult decision: continue a protracted war in the Pacific against a beleaguered enemy, or become the first nation to use nuclear weapons on people. Ultimately, give 'em hell, Harry chose the latter and tasked the Boeing B29 Superfortress for the top-secret mission over Japan. As the Allies prepared for D-Day, the B-29 conducted its first combat operations thousands of miles away in the Axis-partnered Thailand. The attack would serve as a precursor to an ambitious bombing strategy of the Japanese mainland designed by Major General Curtis LeMay of the 22nd Bombing Command. At the time, the B-29 was the largest and most advanced bomber ever built, featuring a pressurized cabin, analog computer controls, automatic gun stations, and 4 Wright duplex Cyclone 2,200 horsepower engines. Most importantly, however, the high-altitude aircraft had a range of 3,250 miles and a massive payload capacity. The Superfortress also proved to be an effective nighttime low-altitude bomber that included several devastating raids on Tokyo. However, when the Japanese refused to surrender, Truman gave the green light to utilize 2 types of atomic bombs developed by the Manhattan Project. This was a modified, lighter, and mostly unarmed version of the B-29 called the Silver Plate. Finally, on August 6, 1945, the Enola Gay dropped the world's first atomic bomb on Hiroshima. 3 days later, the Bockscar dropped its payload on Nagasaki. Japan surrendered shortly afterward. They remain the only 2 nuclear weapons that have ever been used in combat. Number 4. The F86 Sabre. Yankees, Red Sox, Lakers, Celtics, Army, Navy. Great rivalries often bring out the best in opposing teams. The same can be said of the fierce battles fought between the F86 Sabre and the MiG-15 in the Korean War. Oddly, however, sometimes evenly matched sides can produce lopsided results regardless of who's calling the shots. Such was the case of America's first transonic fighter jet that consistently schooled the Soviet-made and frequently Soviet-piloted MiG. The F86 Sabre easily makes the list as one of the most feared and successful combat jets of all time. Owning an impressive kill ratio of 10-1 while dueling over MiG Alley, the US warbird had plenty to crow about. Produced by North American Aviation, the same maker as the P51 Mustang, beginning in 1949, the Sabre was also the first jet designed with a swept wing to counter the leading-edge compression shockwave. Proving that all is fair in love and war, F-86 designers capitalized on captured German aerodynamic data from the Messerschmitt Me-262, the world's first operational jet-powered fighter. Most Sabres came equipped with 6 50-caliber M3 machine guns capable of firing 1,200 rounds per minute. Later variants could carry up to 2,000 pounds worth of bombs and/or air-to-ground rockets and could reach an altitude of nearly 50,000 feet. In his beauteous Butch II, Captain Joseph McConnell Jr. became the top US ace in the Korean War with 16 victories. It's also worth noting that future Mercury astronaut and US Senator John the MiG Mad Marine Glenn shot down 3 of the Soviet jets in his F-86 in 1953. Over the years, nearly 10,000 F-86s were produced in a multitude of variants and became the primary fighter jet of several Allied air forces until it was finally retired in Bolivia in 1994. Number 3. Sea Harrier. The Falklands War between Great Britain and Argentina turned out to be a short-lived confrontation with a long disputed history dating back over 200 years. The largely forgettable conflict only lasted 72 days, resulting in a resounding British victory and the return of its Patagonian lands that are home to more penguins than they are people. However, the extraordinary show put on by RAF Sea Harrier jump jets provided a memorable performance for the ages. First developed by the British aircraft manufacturer Hawker Siddeley in the late 1960s, the Harrier, named for a tenacious bird of prey, became the first operational jet airplane capable of vertical and short takeoff and landing, or VSTOL. This basically meant if there was no runway, it wouldn't be a problem. Powered by a Rolls-Royce Pegasus turbofan engine and 2 intakes and 4 vectorable nozzles, the Harrier's ability to launch like a rocket and hover like a helicopter, as well as reach a top speed of 730 miles per hour, put this versatile weapon in a class all by itself when duty called in the spring of 1982. The Argentine junta, Argentina's military regime, decided to flex some muscle and invade the disputed rocky archipelago off its deep southern coast. Buenos Aires reasoned the action would provide a distraction from the country's recent economic woes and hoped that the UK wouldn't bother to respond militarily. That was a bit of an error. Picking a similar fight with Chile in the not-so-challenging Beagle conflict would have been a much better idea. The Royal Navy, as they've done for centuries, quickly mobilized and barreled into the open seas with its marine might. But this time they brought with them a flock of Sea Harriers equipped with AIM-9 Sidewinder missiles ready to go to business. All totaled, jump jet squadrons shot down 21 Argentine planes, including the much faster Mirage 3 jets, in air-to-air combat without a single air-to-air loss. In other words, it was a clean sheet for the Three Lions. But no need to cry for Argentina, folks. 4 years later, the South Americans got their revenge when Diego Maradona's infamous Hand of God knocked England out of the 1986 World Cup and propelled the Argentines to another Copa del Mundo. As for the Sea Harrier, the vaunted aircraft would see additional combat during the Balkans crisis before finally retiring it in 2006. Number 2. B-2 Spirit. Boasting a flying wing design, stealth technology, and looking more like something you'd find in a Star Wars movie, the B-2 Spirit would make even Darth Vader quake in his boots. Plans for this long-range strategic bomber had been around since the 1970s, and it was originally intended to carry nuclear bombs deep into the former Soviet Union, just in case the Cold War suddenly got really hot. But after countless delays, costly budget overruns, and 4 US presidential administrations, the Northrop Grumman Behemoth finally became operational in 1997. The two-seater bomber is powered by 4 17,000-pound thrust General Electric F-118 turbofans, and it can reach speeds of just under Mach 1, operating at 50,000 feet. It can hold a whopping 40,000 pounds of ordnance, conventional or nuclear, and fly for over 6,000 miles before it needs to refuel. However, its main selling point is its super sneaky stealth capabilities, which helps explain its jaw-dropping adjusted price tag of about $2.2 billion a pop. As the second US warplane with advanced stealth technology following the Lockheed F-117 Nighthawk, the B-2's unique shape makes it virtually invisible to radar. Additionally, the frame consists of low reflective carbon fiber composites and a special coating that further reduces radar reflectivity, a service probably not offered at your local body and paint shop. Stationed at Whiteman AFB near Kansas City, the Spirit first saw action in the Kosovo War in 1999 and later served in Iraq, Afghanistan, and Libya. To date, 21 B-2s have been produced, but one crashed in Guam in 2008, making it the most expensive loss in aviation history. Number 1. The F22 Raptor. True to its nickname, the F-22 is a fearsome beast. The lethal combination of stealth, speed, maneuverability, and a multitude of other classified bells and whistles makes the Raptor one of the baddest birds on the planet. A USAF pilot with F-22 combat experience put it this way. Imagine you're a sniper at night with night vision goggles and a high-powered rifle, and the guy you're up against has no goggles and a pistol. That's what it's like flying the F-22. The world's first fifth-generation fighter jet is a joint project between Lockheed Martin and Boeing and first entered service in 2005. Its primary role is to provide air superiority, but it can also serve various other functions, including ground attack, electronic warfare, and signal intelligence. After waiting 9 long years in the nest, the Raptor saw its first action in 2014, going after ISIS targets in northern Syria. Although the Raptor is capable of reaching a max speed of Mach 2.25, that's 1,726 miles per hour, one of its defining characteristics is its ability to cruise at Mach 1.5 without afterburners. Unlike the B-2 and F-22, it's almost invisible to radar, or in pilot jargon, it enjoys low observability. In short, it can fly faster and longer because it burns less fuel and is more or less undetectable. Also, federal law prevents the F-22 from being exported to other allies and NATO countries in order to protect its confidential hush-hush stealth technology. Being on top, however, means there are plenty of others out there that want to knock the Raptor off its lofty perch. To name a few, the Sukhoi Su-57 from Russia, the Eurofighter Typhoon from the European Union, the Dassault Rafale from France, and the Chengdu J-20 from China. But, well, good luck with that one, guys. So I really hope you found that video interesting. If you did, please do give us a thumbs up below. Also, please do help this channel out and go check out World of Warplanes. You'll find a link to them in the description below. And as always, thank you for watching.